Welcome back to the deep dive. We're diving into A Course in Miracles today.
Okay.
Lesson 67.
You're right.
And it's a pretty heavy one.
Yeah.
Love created me like itself.
It's a big one.
What does that even mean?
I know, right? And how do we actually, live that?
Exactly. Like I was thinking about yesterday's lesson about how thoughts create reality.
Right.
This one's like a step further.
It is.
It's like not just changing your thoughts.
Yeah.
It's about who you are.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's suggesting that under all our fears and worries and doubts and judgments,
Yeah.
there's this core of pure love.
Okay.
And it's not something that we have to earn or achieve. It's already there
Wow.
at our very essence.
So we are made of love.
We are literally made of love.
That's wild. Why don't I feel that all the time?
Well, that's where the ego comes in.
Oh, boy.
This is that part of us that believes in separation and in lack and fear. It's like that voice in our heads that says we're not good enough.
Oh.
We need to protect ourselves. We're all alone.
I know that voice.
It blocks us from experiencing our true nature as love.
Okay, so the ego's like the blocker between me and love.
It is. It creates this distortion. It creates this illusion that makes us forget who we really are.
So how do we get around that blocker? How do we actually tap into that love?
Well, the great thing about A Course in Miracles is that it gives us practical tools to shift our perspective and to actually experience this love more fully. Like in this lesson, it mentions meditation and acts of kindness.
Oh, I love those.
They're so simple yet so powerful.
Yeah. So how do we actually do that? How do we actually use those to really tap into that love?
Well, let's start with meditation.
Okay.
The Course suggests this very specific visualization.
Right.
You imagine yourself bathed in this warm, loving light. And as you hold that image in your mind, you repeat the affirmation, love created me like itself.
So it's not just thinking about love, it's like feeling it in your body.
Exactly. It's going beyond the intellectual understanding, and it's creating this visceral experience.
I like that.
The Course emphasizes the importance of feeling the love.
Yeah.
Not just thinking about it.
Interesting.
Because when we actually feel it, that's when we start to believe it.
Right.
And that's when it starts to change us.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
So we've got meditation for connecting with the love within.
Yes.
What about acts of kindness? How do those fit in?
Acts of kindness are like taking that love that we've cultivated within and extending it outwards.
Okay.
It's about expressing that love in the world through our actions.
Well, it's like more than just being nice.
It's more than just being nice.
It's not just like, oh, I should do this.
It's not out of obligation.
It's like, I want to do this.
Exactly.
Because I feel this love.
Because you're acting from a place of genuine love and compassion.
I like that.
And you know what's so beautiful about this? The Course suggests that when we act from that place of love, it not only benefits the person we're helping,
right,
but it also reinforces our own understanding of ourselves as loving beings.
Like it comes back around.
It's this beautiful feedback loop.
I love that.
The more we act from love, the more we experience ourselves as love.
It all connects.
It does.
Wow, this is really powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I know that the lesson also talks about a journaling exercise.
Yes.
But before we get into that,
okay,
I think we need to take a quick break.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back after this.
Right.
To dive into that journaling exercise and see how we can use it to bring this idea of love created me like itself into our everyday lives.
I can't wait. So before the break, we were talking about how this lesson encourages us to really see ourselves as these beings of love.
Right.
And then to act from that place of love. And how meditation and acts of kindness can be like these powerful tools to shift our perspective.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a journaling exercise.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, how can we actually use this in our lives?
Right. Yeah, I feel like this could be a good way to connect the dots between
right,
understanding it and actually using it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because this journaling exercise, it doesn't start with focusing on all the good and loving things.
Right.
It actually asks us to look at the opposite.
Wow.
When do you feel most disconnected from love?
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So why do you think it starts there?
Well, I guess because that's when we need it the most.
Right.
When things are going great.
Exactly.
And you're feeling all happy and connected.
Yeah, it's easy to feel loving.
Yeah, you don't even have to try.
Yeah, but it's in those challenging moments when we're feeling stressed or frustrated or angry.
Right.
We need to remember love created me like itself.
Yeah, it's easy to forget.
Yeah.
in those tough times.
And that's why I think this journaling exercise is so powerful.
Right.
It invites us to identify those specific situations, those triggers.
The things that get to you.
Yeah, the things that bring up those feelings of disconnection.
Like getting cut off in traffic or having a fight with your boss.
Exactly. We all have our own triggers.
Right.
Right. And often we're not even aware of what they are or how they're affecting us.
Yeah.
So the first step is just to become aware.
Okay.
To notice when we're feeling disconnected.
Just notice it.
Yeah. And then to go a bit deeper.
Yeah.
And to think about how those feelings might be affecting how we're interacting with other people.
So, like, it's not just internal, it's also external.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because,
yeah,
when we're feeling disconnected from love, it's going to show up in how we treat other people.
It's going to come out somehow.
Right. Maybe we're shorter with people.
Right.
We're more judgmental.
Yeah.
Less patient.
Oof. Yeah, I can see that.
Right. We all do it.
Totally.
Human nature.
Yeah.
But the point is, once we start to see those patterns, we can start to change them.
Okay.
That's where the magic happens.
So how do we change it?
Well, this is where we bring the affirmation back in.
Okay.
Love created me like itself. So after you've thought about those moments of disconnection, the journaling exercise asks, how does remembering this change things?
So it's like actively choosing to look at it differently.
It's about consciously choosing to shift our perspective,
Yeah.
even when it's hard.
Even when you don't want to.
Even when we don't want to remind ourselves that our true nature is love.
Yeah.
Even when we're feeling anything but.
Because those are the times when you need it.
Yeah.
Most.
And the Course says our default reactions, those knee-jerk responses when we're triggered, are often driven by fear or ego.
Oh, yeah.
But when we remember, love created me like itself,
Right.
it helps us access a different part of ourselves.
Uh-huh.
It allows us to respond from a place of love and compassion, even in those challenging moments.
I like that.
So can you give me an example?
Yeah, like how does this actually work?
Okay, let's say you're disagreeing with your partner.
Okay.
You're feeling misunderstood. You're feeling frustrated, maybe a little hurt.
Yeah.
Your instinct might be to defend yourself.
Yeah.
To argue your point, to shut down completely.
Oh, all of those.
Right. But instead of reacting in that way,
Yeah.
imagine taking a deep breath
Okay.
and remembering, love created me like itself. How does that change your perspective?
I guess it reminds me of like, we're both just people.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure things out.
Exactly.
And maybe we're just communicating differently.
It's about choosing love over fear,
Yeah.
even when it's challenging.
I get that.
So it's not about judging ourselves for having those negative reactions.
Oh, good.
It's about using them as opportunities to practice remembering who we are.
Like every time you mess up, you can just start over.
It's about turning those challenging moments into opportunities for growth.
I love that.
For deepening our understanding.
Yeah.
And for strengthening that connection. Okay.
To that core of love.
This is really resonating with me.
I'm so glad.
It's not just about reading the book.
Right.
It's about like living it.
Exactly. And what I love about this exercise is that it doesn't just focus on our internal experience. It helps us see how that internal state is affecting our relationships with others.
Yeah. So it's like looking in the mirror.
It's like holding up a mirror to ourselves.
And seeing how you treat people.
Yeah. Seeing how our energy, our words, our actions are impacting the people around us.
Which ultimately it's all about connection, right?
It is. It is.
And love created me like itself reminds us that we are connected.
Yeah.
Like we're all part of the same thing.
We are.
So if we remember that,
yeah,
that changes how we interact with everyone.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
It helps us approach every interaction.
Yeah.
Every situation.
With more love.
With more compassion.
Yeah.
With more understanding.
Yeah, and that creates a better world.
Exactly.
I'm really enjoying this.
I'm so glad. Like we're getting to the core.
We are.
Of A Course in Miracles.
Yeah, it's not just a book of spiritual teachings.
Yeah.
It's a guide to living a more fulfilling life.
It really is.
And are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap up this exploration of Lesson 67. So we've been talking about this lesson and how powerful that statement is. Love created me like itself.
It really makes you think.
And it really changes how we see the world.
Totally. Like it gives us this new lens.
Right.
To see everything through.
It sees love as like the underlying reality.
Yeah. Even when it's hard.
Even when things are tough. And I think that's what's so unique about A Course in Miracles. It's not just about feeling good or thinking positive thoughts.
Yeah, it's deeper.
It's recognizing this deeper truth.
Right, about who we are.
About who we are, and then letting that truth guide our lives,
Yeah.
even when we feel anything but loving.
Right, because we're not always going to feel loving.
No, we're not.
But it's not about denying those feelings either.
Right.
It's like seeing them as opportunities.
Yes.
To remember who we really are.
Exactly. And to choose love over fear.
Yeah.
Which is not always easy.
No, it's not.
And that's where the ego comes in.
Right, the ego wants to keep us down.
The ego wants to keep us trapped in that cycle.
Yeah, of fear and negativity.
Of fear and negativity. It tells us we're separate, that we need to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
That we're not good enough.
All the bad stuff.
All the bad stuff.
So if we can, like, recognize those thoughts.
Yeah.
And choose love instead.
Yes.
We can break free.
We break free from that cycle and align ourselves with our true nature.
Which is love.
Which is love.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
So how does this change how we deal with conflict?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because, like, if we really believe that love created me like itself, and that same love created the people we disagree with, does that change how we approach them?
It should, but that's a really big question. Because it's easy to think about love in a general sense.
But when you're in an argument.
Yeah, when you're in the heat of the moment, it's hard to remember that that person you're disagreeing with is also an expression of love.
So how do we do that?
It takes practice.
Okay.
It's like rewiring our brains to respond differently.
Like building a new habit.
Exactly. And that's where those tools we talked about come in.
Okay.
The meditation, the acts of kindness, the journaling.
Yeah.
It's all to help us strengthen that muscle.
Right. The love muscle.
The love muscle. So it's like, instead of seeing the other person as an enemy.
Yeah.
It's remembering that we're both just human.
We're both just human beings.
Just trying to live life.
Trying to navigate this crazy thing called life.
Right. And we may not agree.
Yeah.
But we can still see their worth.
We can still recognize their inherent worth as a human being.
Yeah.
We can still choose to approach them with compassion and understanding.
I love that.
Yeah. This has been great.
It has. We've learned so much. We explored what it means to be created from love.
Yeah.
We looked at how the ego gets in the way. And we even discovered some tools.
Yes. Practical tools.
That can help us apply this to our lives.
And this is just the beginning.
We've only just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to learn from A Course in Miracles.
There is.
But this is a great start.
It is. And this lesson is such a good reminder. That love is not just a feeling. It's a choice.
We can choose it.
We can choose it in every moment.
No matter what.
No matter what.
I hope that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Into lesson 67.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And remember,
love created me like itself.
Let that be your guide.
We'll see you next time.
See you tomorrow.